paper thin slurry coat. We mixed it up with 6 quarts of premix. You always want to make sure that you mark your 5-gallon bucket whenever you dilute that 50%. Like you get premix. Does that make sense? And being that it's a hot day right now, you want to the resin, the hotter it is, the more faster it gets out. This is a bend out version of the grout.
Yeah, but the reason for the slurry is, you know, we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves with the slurry. The slurry coat you always use on thicker trees, but you need a different color ground. Okay, so this is a tool. They're not cheap. So if you're going to buy these, you need to store them flat and make sure you keep them clean. Contractors that use these will spray them with PAM nonstick right before they go out to that job. Makes it a lot easier to clean. Okay, this is great for walkways, patios, small driveways. You get into big commercial areas, you're going to want to get a roll of paper stencils with an adhesive back, 5 feet wide, 4 or 5 foot rolls, or are they 3 foot, Thomas? You know, Anthony always sprays back into that bucket. Okay? Get some hot material, make sure the equipment works. Also adjust the air pressure. You don't want to go do that on the job. Completely different consistency coming out here now, right? Instead of pancake batter, it's more like Crete batter for all you bakers out there. It's a lot better. You know, the real windy days, this process is pretty difficult. The wind, such a fine spray, the wind wants to carry it. So you either got to wait for a calmer day, or you need to spray it a little bit wetter, so it's a little bit heavier coming out of that hopper.
$3 to $6 a square foot. That does not include prep. Some guys sub out that prep. What's really popular is coming back and adding that third or fourth color. You know, if you look at the curve room, we got
spraying this from the outside because he doesn't want to wear those, take his shoes off and walk up to it. You would typically get up there and just spray it like we did Spray-Deck. Coat to set up. Okay, so that's a reprieve for your person knocking down. They get by them a little more time. With a tape pattern, it's not as much of an issue, but it's crucial with those plastic stencils because they're thicker. You have to be careful not to drag that stencil when you're knocking it down, so you actually need more time to knock it down. Because you're not going to fill that whole stencil up with product. mean, you could, but your product yield is going to be pretty low.
A lot of YMCA pools have this. Now, the guy doing this probably back. Right. Sure. Is there any tool you can use? Not really. There's some out there, but you got to really protect it. That's a young man. That's a young man. Wait, charge a lot for it. Yeah. Why you hire a young kid to do a sidewalk press? That's why you charge. You can't do this. You know, I mean, it's better for a younger guy. I'm going to get out of that. I'll pay somebody to do that. No, but the, you know, yeah. So it's after doing a work like this, they just your back hurts. Yeah. You charge more if it's in my west also. Is there anything to do a bigger job you can color the grout for you here? Yeah. You don't have to color it on the job site, but I would say from experience, you want to make sure if you got like a job that requires 25 or 30 bags, make sure that color is already mixed with that resin in a good barrel. Okay, that color is consistent. But this is what Tim's doing is a real nice look. And you can charge a lot more for this. That speckled look, and it's very little material. Very little.
An extra maybe 10 minutes, maybe 10 pounds of product, and you can see like that one in front of you. More stencil. You gotta be careful with these interior parts because this grout is still damp, and if we force it into that white grout line, it's gonna stick. But all this stuff that's falling in there now will come out.
Don't touch it.
It's very tempting, but
How soon you should be doing this?
as soon as you're done knocking down, you pull your tape or your stencil.
What happens if you wait too long?
It might not come up.
Might not come up.
Yeah. And this product will cure out upwards of 5,000 psi over 28 days, but it's going to get a couple thousand psi in the first 24 hours. 48 hours. So very subtle accent of that dark brown and that buff over the what was it, tile red? Just very subtle. It's not so stark with just red and white grout lines, right? It kind of softens it a little bit. Towards every which direction with just the weight of the scraper. We don't want to do that with texture Crete. We want to go one direction, that's back towards yourself at a 45-degree angle to your pattern. And the reason is this pattern, that's what we want to do. We don't want to go in here and not pay attention and try to tip the corner, especially for the contractors that are getting out there a little sooner than they maybe should. Again, this pad, how old is this? 2 months old. Okay? These little pieces that are coming off the scraper, again, they'll come off with foot traffic, so you have to do this step. On this pad because there's damp areas here with these work boots that are filthy. Same thing on a real job. Don't do all this hard work and come back with white grout lines the next day and bring your work boots on that you just wore to a stamp job the day before and then mess that up. You're going to want to catch all these little pieces. Change your mind, that's a whole different story, and you got to start from square one. Come back out to that job like you did for the first day and start over.
Just as a question, this is not the same color as that. That's a dark color. The next event was
if you're sealed or stained properly, that'll just come off the surface. But that's a great thing to communicate to your customer is their patio work. A lot of times if you're redoing a deck and it's a rehab on a house or restoration or something, a lot of times people will get into that and they'll probably end up picking out new furniture. If they haven't bought it yet, it's a great time to talk to them about, hey, be careful what you pick out. You got usually some sort of plastic cap or something at the bottom. Unless you want the wrought iron leg.
Will that rough stain stay? Or is that because it's sealed properly that makes?
Yeah, I mean after a couple of years, if it hasn't been resealed, that stain obviously with travel will begin to wear, and that's the rust stain will become more of an issue, right? Where you can't just take a soft brush and brush it off of there. And at that point, you'll degrease that whole slab, power wash it, and restain it. With Spray-Deck. Now with this, you have to reseal it. So one little thing that I'm seeing here that when we talk about attention to detail that we missed, is we've got a one grout line in that's bigger than the other ones. So when we buttered our stencil up, we were not tight when we taped it.
Where these two came together.
Yeah. When they're tight, they're the same width as a standard piece. You see this? That's coated in clear seal. Our roller picked it up from here or somewhere over here and dropped it in that grout line. Happens all the time. That's why you cannot blow it off enough. You just need to take that and flick it off of there. One little spot here we missed.